nERDbOXER.
Little something special for everybody here to wrap up this 2 weeks of nothing to watch in the theaters and all the fun that we've had with Scream and all the new subscribers that have come along with it. We thank you. We appreciate you. So we figure we're going to end this week with a little discussion with some other YouTubers and some other nERDbOXers, and we're going to talk a little Scream. So you know what that means. Fire up the Jiffy Pop and meet us in the booth. Our first guest is fellow nERDbOXer. You have seen him in season 1 of 5 Things. You've seen him on several shows of Donna Jean's Coffee House of Horror. He is the producer on Terrifier 2 stream and several other projects that are coming up. Welcome to the show, Mr. Marcus Mcgill.
What's your favorite scary movie? What's going on, people? My name is Marcus Mcgill. Like Dave said, producer on Stream and Terrifier, and huge fan of Scream. And just here to have a good discussion with the family.
All right, our next special guest, combined with my kids to get me back onto YouTube and forming nERDbOXer by bringing me onto his geekly discussion. That is Danny V from the Danny Vega Show.
What up, everyone? Danny V here. I'm glad to be here with my fellow nERDbOXers. I'm so excited for Scream. If you haven't checked me out, check out the Danny Vega Show. Do a bunch of reviews just like nERDbOXer over here and have lots of fun over there. I talk super fast. A lot of talk with my hands, mannerisms. Yeah. But Scream, speaking of that, Ghostface does a lot of that. He does, if you see him, he's not like your typical slasher. He's always like, oh, and running around and falling on his face. And I can't wait to talk about this new one. It's going to be exciting. Who knows? Maybe I'm the killer.
He's the Italian slasher with all his hand movement.
Hey.
Our last guest, also another guest on 5 Things, like Marcus and like Danny were on season 1. Mick from Scene Snobs has been a guest on season 2, and he did our Halloween special. So please welcome Mick.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. This is awesome. I'm Mick Manhattan, of course, you just said. You can check me out on the Scene Snobs. I host the Scene Snobs podcast and a ton of other shows. Go to thescenesnobs.com. And if it's cool, I'd like to plug 2 things horror-related.
Go ahead.
So we are official representatives of the Horrific Hope Film Festival, which is a horror film festival here in Winchester, Virginia, and it's also going to be virtual. And they have an emphasis on helping people with mental health issues and things like that. So it's very cool, and we're happy to be ambassadors of that. And also, we are going to be representatives at the Carolina Fear Fest this year. We were last year as well. They asked us back, so we're very excited for that. And got a lot of fun horror stuff coming up soon. So,
congrats.
Nice. Thank you.
2 shows that I want to plug. So Danny, other than his reviews, he has motivational segments on his show. Worth checking out. Definitely stop over there. And Mick has some real battles, which are pretty fun. I haven't seen it anywhere else. We have 2 people battling for best movie or best franchise and trying to convince Mick on which one is the better of the 2.
Yeah, real combat. Yeah, so anybody wants to be on it, just message me.
I might have to take you up on that.
I'm messaging you.
Yeah, I might have to take you up on that.
I'd love to have you guys. Please feel free.
All right, so we're going to go over 4 questions today, just to keep us from going over the 2-hour mark. And the first one that I have, we'll start it off with you, Marcus. So where do you rank the Scream films within the franchise, and where does this franchise now sit amongst all the other horror franchises?
So you want me to rank the 5 films? So for me personally, I would go Scream 2 because as my number 1 because I have a personal connection to it. That was the first film set that I was ever on. I was a teenager snuck onto the campus of Agnes Scott College and got to meet Nev and Jamie and Timothy and that whole crew that was doing that one scene on the stoop on the steps. Then of course Scream 1, uh, Scream 5, Scream 4, and then Scream 3. And as far as where it ranks against the other heavy hitters, I would say that it doesn't get the full respect it deserves compared to like Halloween and Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. But as far as the quality of films out of these five films, I would say is far superior than those other franchises because it's the one franchise that sticks to its own continuity, where the other ones have, they're pretty much one-offs or, like Halloween has the different timelines. So yeah, I would say that it's the underdog compared to those other franchises.
Nice. Danny, how about you?
So I know everyone's gonna be like, "What? I haven't seen Scream 4 yet." So yeah, I haven't seen Scream 4 yet. It was one of those after Scream 3. I was like, eh. And then they were like, "Oh, we're making a new series." I was like, "Ugh," because every time they make a movie into a series, you're just like, "God, it sucks." So I just left it alone. But for some reason, Scream 5, like the trailer, just got me, and I'm like, "Uh-oh, something's different about this one." And I'm glad I saw it because I feel if we want to rank them, Scream 1 would be my favorite of all time. Scream 5 would be my second. And then obviously Scream 3, since I haven't seen the fourth one. Scream 3 would be my last, and Scream 2 would be. So for me, it would be Scream 1, 5, 2, and then 3. 3 I felt like had the most potential. It could have been phenomenal. However, I think it was just very executed poorly.
Yeah.
Scream 5 was very reminiscent of Scream 1, so I know we'll get into details later on that, but man, it was, like I said, I'm really glad I saw it. Now, when it comes to other franchises though, I feel like, yes, I agree with Marcus, it doesn't get the recognition it deserves. However, I feel like it came in a strange place. Like me and David discussed this before, is that if you look at the fears of like each generation, slashers was really big in like 70s and 80s because you had a lot of serial killers, and that was like the theme in the news, like, oh my gosh, serial killers. Then when you get up to like the 90s and 2000s, when Scream comes along in that era, we were transitioning more into like Blair Witch and all the supernatural stuff. So when a slasher comes out during the supernatural era, for it to do really well in that era is one, goes to show the quality that Marcus says is, it's a fantastic franchise. And I think what made it so successful, the first one, was that it was the first horror film to do that thriller twist. Like, you're like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting that. So that's what I think. That's why I think it stands out. However, if we're just going for horror, I'm sorry, I'm a big Friday the 13th fan. That's just me. I feel like I've watched that since I was a little kid. I don't know, super crazy, right? But I just feel that's where it is. It's in a strange place that it came out way after its time. However, I feel with the fifth one now, it could revitalize slasher films into a modern day era. So that's where I'm at.
Well, that's what the original did too. It brought back that
Yeah.
slasher.
All right, Mr. Mick.
Well, I ranked them as Scream being number one. That's the best one, in my opinion. And then, oddly enough, Scream 5. I really liked the homages. It did well, and I agree with everybody saying that it's sparking interest in like reviving again, which I always felt like Scream was good at. Every like 5-10 years, it can kind of like rejuvenates itself. Scream 4, which again to me was a really well done horror movie at a time where we were not getting well done horror movies. Scream 2, and then Scream 3. Although I will say this, a lot of people don't seem to like Scream 3. I love it. I know exactly what they were going for. I think they did a fantastic job. They parodied so many great things, especially in Hollywood. And it's a well-made movie. It just doesn't fit the motif of what it was trying to be with the rest of them.
Well, they screwed the pooch by not having Kevin Williams do his script. So.
Yeah, but although Kevin Williams was kind of out on it after that anyway, like, and you can't highway, my way or the highway them, because I know Wes wanted to work again, but it was just one of those weird things, and that's why it stands out. But I think everybody could agree we watch it. Now, as far as franchises go, to kind of piggyback off what Danny was saying, it's number 2 on my personal list of horror franchises. Friday the 13th has a complete rewatchability factor that just unlike any other franchise. I love Nightmare on Elm Street. I love Halloween, but Friday the 13th, you can rewatch over and over again with no issues. And Scream as well, I think, is the next one on the list where you can rewatch them over and over again with no problems. And always feels again, because I think it's rejuvenating itself with each movie.
Yeah.
The only one that didn't really do that was Scream 2. Scream 2 was sort of a carbon copy of the first one. It was the characters that made you enjoy it more. Now, that's not to put it down. I know, Marcus, I know you love Scream 2 and you have a personal connection. I'm not putting it down. We have Halloween movies that are complete carbon copies all the way through. At least Scream 2 was trying to be similar, but stood out. Like, I can't go without watching it.
Yeah.
That's a testament to a good movie, in my opinion. So when it comes to Scream franchise, it's definitely and again, like I said, kind of piggybacking off what Danny said, it's just one of those things where there's an excitement. It built so much. It sparked horror movies again in the 90s. And the only thing I would say differently is, yes, Blair Witch ushered in more of a supernatural, but remember how many movies Scream put out. You had I Know What You Did Last Summer. You had The Faculties. You had all these movies, Disturbing Behavior, all that stuff. Whereas the WB kids all in a movie or something. And it was Scream that did it. So it was fantastic. And then they did it again, and they did it again. Now I think they're doing it again. So that's why I miss Wes, but I'm glad that it's going to keep going.
Yep. I will let my wife do the honors because I think we're pretty much solid on these picks together. So go ahead.
You do?
Yeah. Well, I'll let you know if they aren't.
I mean, we don't have to be. What the hell? So, my order is 1, then 5, then 4, then 2, then 3.
Yep.
There you go. See? Eye to eye. Right there.
Yep.
I feel like that's going to be mine. I feel like now when I watch Scream 4, I'm going to be like, hey, just like everybody. Woo!
And
it's
then
a good movie. You'll like it, Dan.
So franchise-wise, Scream it really is neck and neck with Nightmare on Elm Street for me. And that's because they both are just personal connection to it. I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street was the very first horror franchise that I ever started watching when I was a kid, and I wasn't allowed, and my aunt showed it to me. And then Scream was released 6 months after I graduated high school, so I connected with it. I felt like I could connect to these people. I mean, I don't think I went to school with any serial killers, but
yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street definitely number 1 for me because it scared the crap out of me as a kid. I had nightmares from it, legit. And then Scream is number 2. All right. So let's talk about what everybody thinks of this film. We're going to save Mr. Danny. Actually, no, we're going to start with Mr. Danny first.
Oh, no.
So, Danny, let us know your thoughts on this film.
Man. So, where to start? So, just to piggyback off before, I felt like Scream is in its own category. Like when we talk about horror, which is funny, I really don't consider it like a horror film. However, I feel like it's an amazing slasher film. I really do. And I think it's amazing, like I said, because of the mind twist. And so for Scream 5, I saw the similarities, I saw the homages, I saw everything. Like, and especially when you have Wes, the character, and everything is Wes this way, I was like, oh, my heart, you know, it was fantastic. But I think the kills were unique. I was discussing with Marcus, like the beginning scene, spoilers for everyone, by the way. If you're watching this video and you haven't seen it and want no spoilers, cut me out. Go to everybody else.
No, too bad.
Right? Boom. All right. No, like the first scene, man, when they when she went to stop him and put her hand up, we rarely see anything that like a hand happened. Like the biggest impact for me about a hand thing was in I believe it's called Wolf's Creek, right? When he's like your boyfriend said, that's not a knife, this is a knife, and cut all her fingers off because she had her hand up. I felt that impact on this one too. Like she tries to stop him and it goes right through her hand. I was like, Jesus. It was very reminiscent of the beginning scene of Scream 1. Same thing with Drew Barrymore, you know? It's just like you don't expect the good girl, you know, to get attacked and die off the bat. And then this girl, she didn't die. However, it's one of those things that you just see the bits and pieces of like a requel. And I love that they stuck to the theme of a requel. And they explained it. It was super meta, like the original, when they're like, hey, it's not a sequel and it's not a reboot. It's like a soft reboot, but you have to have the similar things of the original unless it sucks. And you have to have the old characters in it unless it sucks, you know? And it reminds me of all of our reviews. Like I had never felt older in a movie. I was like, Jesus, stop attacking me personally. Oh my gosh. So it was really cool, but the only gripe, honestly, I think, like I said, all the kills were unique. Everything set up, all the homages to the other horror films, from the Alfred Hitchcock shower scene, from her crawling away like Halloween 2, like Marcus was saying, like just every little bits and pieces of it I loved. However, I did not like the biggest thing is, why was Billy and Stu the killer again? Because your Billy and your Stu was the killer again. And it was so predictable that it turned me off, because everything about the movie in this one was like Scream 1, totally unpredictable. Like you're just like, oh my gosh. And then that one scene that they all rush in and you're like, oh man, it could be anyone now, because everyone's like, no, it's you, it's you, it's you. I thought it was awesome. And then when your Stu character is like, oh yeah, it's me, I'm like, why? That's the most predictable out of everybody. And then this is what I said in my review, is like, Billy and Stu said this in the original, and I thought they should have stuck to the theme. He said, movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative. And so the fact that you had a black and white copy and it wasn't creative, and then on top of that, to throw a meta joke going, I know it's disappointing, but it's what's best for the movie. I was like, dude, no. I just think if they would have done what Scream 1 did and did some sort of twist at the end, instead of leaving a twist for like the other movies, if they did a twist at the end that you were not expecting, I think it would have, even though it did fantastic, I think it would have had a bigger impact on all variety of audiences like Scream 1 did. And that's what I would have loved. And then also me and Jen agreed Dewey should have never been oofed off. I'm sad in my heart because I felt like I was watching Kylo Ren stab Han again. And what are the odds they reference that movie in the movie? So I'm just saying, that's what I thought of it. Overall, it's a fantastic film. I recommend everyone to watch it. I just think that's my only gripe with it. Other than that, it was well done. You can't tell it's not done by Wes Craven. I think that's the number one thing. It's so well done. It feels like a Wes Craven movie.
And it brought the brutality where the other films really didn't have it as much. This was just, I felt the anger that these characters had in delivering these kills. It was something else.
When you stabbed through the face, oh my god.
Yeah, and that's one thing I have to say that I really enjoyed, was that it wasn't over the top gory. Nope. But it was so uniquely and cringeworthy, like you're saying, that you're like, fuck, I feel it. Oh God. that's what I love, because now you don't have the gross out factor that people can't handle it because it's too gross, but it is impactful enough that you feel it and you're like, oh my gosh, you know. So yeah, I totally agree with that.
All right, Marcus, how about you?
So after talking to Danny, I actually agreed with pretty much everything that he said. One thing that I did notice, and I told Danny this, and I told you guys this, was that they decided to use, with regards to the twist of the killers, that was the same twist, original twist for Scream 2. That was like ripped straight from the script, where Sid's boyfriend and her roommate were the killers. So, like he said, that is a carbon copy of, Scream 1. But at that time, back then, it was actually kind of unique because then it made it visceral to the point where, like Sid couldn't trust anybody. She, that anybody close to her would definitely be possibly trying to kill her. So I think they were trying to do that, set that up for this film. That's why they said on the what was the on the poster? It said basically along the lines that it could be anybody that in your camp, or basically something like that. So I kind of like that with the that twist, but like Danny said, I kind of wanted more. Um, Now, my gripes with the film, I miss Marco Beltrami's score because he had that, creepy piano music in all four films. And they used a little bit of it, in this, but it just didn't, the music didn't hit home, like the other films did, where it really kind of engrosses you into the scene at the time. And then it was just some choices by the characters, or they're making Randy's niece super smart, but she doesn't realize that she's in Stu Marker's house. Like,
Yeah.
come on. Like, I'm like, that's your friend from high school. I take it that they known each other. These kids knew each other all through high school since they were 12, 13 years old. How do you not know that's Stu Marker's house?
That's a good call.
So,
because nobody knew who Stu Macher was.
Or did
but
they?
they know, but everybody in that town knew what happened back then
But
and where it took place.
Well, but they played it out the entire film that they thought it was just Billy Loomis. Like nobody knew who Stu was or that he was even involved. So it made sense to me.
They mentioned him. They mentioned Stu because when they're all in the living room talking, they're discussing, what about Stu? Oh, he's got a sister and she moved away. And then it was just, I think that might come back into play, but they know who Stu is.
Amber was the one that looked it up and said, Amber was the one that looked it up and said that Vince was Stu Macher's nephew, and then somebody else was like, who's Stu Macher?
Yeah, and that's where Dewey jumped in.
And that's when Dewey jumped in and said that he was Billy's cohort and that he was a real Looney Tunes.
Yeah, but I mean,
even with that, you would still know, as much as they know about Billy Loomis, they would know about the murder house.
But
you know what I mean? So
we can all sit here like they did in the living room and like talk about Ted Bundy, and one of you could be like, well, yeah, Ted Bundy's associate though, and I could be like, I don't know what you're talking about. There might be that one person who doesn't know, which kind of gives it a little more believability when you're talking about it. Personally,
just like, for example, just like everybody knew the Myers house at the relic house in the neighborhood. Everybody knew Freddy's house in Elm Street. No matter who moved in. So how did they not know that was not Stu? The murder house of Woodsboro.
Yeah, the person that asked.
You can play dumb too. That that's what I'm saying. And here again, I don't mean to cut in, but this is what my problem was with the ending. Now everything that could have been a twist is going to be predictable in the future. If that girl, because she's the one that had the house, right? She's the one that threw the party, right? That's her best friend. Now, if she's related to Stu, now you're like, yeah, I can see that, because now you're like, oh, well, she had the house and she just acted just like him. Of course she's related to Stu, because that's what they seem like they're going with. Because think about it. Randy's niece, especially more than his nephew, was just like Randy. Same mannerisms, say everything, right? And then, even though I forgot what's his name?
Chad?
I mean, huh?
Chad?
That's his name, the main villain. The
The
No.
main villain is Richie.
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 Okay, so Richie, to have him to be like a Billy, even though he's not related to Billy, it would still make sense that she got the house, she's related to Stu, this and that, and then that's a setup for Stu coming in later. Stu is the original killer, and all of a sudden they're related, and now he wants to get revenge, and da 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 da. You see what I'm saying? Like, we could play dumb, like, especially if I'm related to Stu, you could be like da da da. I'm like, oh, who's Stu? Tell me more. You see what I'm saying?
Liv did say that. Liv is the one that asked the question.
Yeah, but Liv
She
was
was
like
an idiot.
an airhead. Yeah, she was
Yeah,
dumb
she was
AF,
an idiot.
dude.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mick, how about you? What's your thoughts on the film?
Well, I ranked it number 2 in this franchise for me, but I will say there were some things that like kind of threw me off a little bit. One I have to disagree with you, Danny. I think Dewey should have died. He was our paladin from the beginning, and he went out right. Because to move forward, you had to sacrifice somebody, and he went out like a hero, and he deserved it. You could have killed Gale too. I don't care. But
I was about to say, kill off Gale, man, not
Yeah.
Dewey.
But nobody
She should have
cares.
been dead. She should have been dead a long time ago.
Yeah, should have been dead too. Straight up shot and falls into an orchestra. Like, no, you're dead. But whatever, it's fine. You want to keep her alive or whatever. But like the one you're going to get an emotional response on, because let's face facts, we didn't even really care if Sydney came back. We're just like, let's find out who this killer is. And Dewey was there, and we were happy about it. So when he died, it added weight to this. It was like, we're going forward. We're going to be more vicious. It really helped in this story. But I will tell you, this is the only Scream movie where right from the beginning, I was like, that's a killer. I was like, that's a killer.
Yeah.
I was like, and I pegged both of them because I was like, they're going to revisit the boyfriend. I was like, because they were being too transparent about a lot of things. But first of all,
In the trailer.
don't hire the actress who played a serial killer in a Tarantino movie and then bring him in and be like, oh, it's a red herring, and then not a red herring. It's like, no, I know that's the killer. She's straight up in the first scene she's in. You're like, of course she's the killer. Of course she is.
Wait, was she in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yeah, she was the one that got hit in the face with the thing and then and ironically set on fire.
Oh, she was the crazy one. Oh yeah, with the I didn't even realize I was hurt. Oh snap!
I posted on Facebook that night. I was like, man, people really want to see this chick on fire.
Yeah, she was definitely crazy in that too.
I mean, I can't disagree. I think seeing her on fire was a really awesome thing. So
Yeah, that was cool.
Now, the director said that wasn't a throwback to that film that was in the script, which is, I thought, a little odd. But that scene, I'm sorry to cut you off, Mick, that scene where she's running out of the kitchen reminded me of something else, and I haven't been able to pick which other movie I've seen that in, and it's not that
Dawn
one.
of the Dead.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It was the way they shot it because of the fact that it was the frame, the frames per second that they shot it in. It was Dawn of the Dead 2004 when the stuntman was in the fat suit. He was supposed to be like a fat lady. He was the zombie in the store and got up, and the way it was like running at the camera, it was the same exact setup and shot in frame.
Didn't he run out or somebody?
Maybe. All right, so I cut you off, Mick. I was a rude host. Go ahead.
No, you're all good. I honestly, if I were being asked to like, how would you fix a certain element of this that I didn't like, I would have made the sister the killer. She set it up with Richie, who she met on the Reddit boards.
Danny said
set
that.
this up, you date my sister, you get this situated, you attack me, bring her back to town, but I also need you to seduce this crazy pale lady, who's my best friend, and set her up. So their whole plan was to set her up as the killer, kill everyone. And when you had that moment where she opens the closet and she's not sure to cut her sister free, then she does it, and the sister kills her later. And that lead star should have died.
Okay, so I had two things. And I was telling Marcus this. Mick, I'm so sorry. I'm going to piggyback real quick. So as soon as I got out, I said, besides, I've always wanted Sydney to be the killer because, you know, it ran in the family. So Sydney being the killer, I thought would have been hella dope. However, the two things I told Marcus, I said either of the sisters should have been the killer. However, the one that I would have thought was super dope is you played on the older sister, right? Always having these visions of Billy, right? I would have loved like a Darth Revan that she thinks she's good, but the times that she has the visions of Billy, she blacks out and she doesn't know what happens, and then she's the killer. And that way, at the end of the film, when you have the two killers, right, that are like, oh, it was our plan all along. It was her plan all along to set everyone else up. Because Billy, remember, Billy was even though, okay, we're gonna tie it all together. Even though Sydney's brother was the chess master playing everything from like Scream 3, and he was the one that set up Billy and Stu, yada yada. If we X that out, and that's why everyone's saying, oh, Billy's the mastermind. If you played on that Billy's the mastermind and had his daughter be the mastermind, you know what I mean? And it was an unconscious thing, I think that would have made everyone go, what the? And then that was it. I think honestly that would have been such a big impact for the franchise, because then it's not your Billy-esque character like Richard was. However, it is the daughter of Billy Loomis. And it's just like, oh my gosh, I thought she was the good one the whole time, but she's not.
Danny, you know what's funny about that too? Because when you see her, you're like, they're setting her up to be the red herring, like she's having, like she is blacking out, like every time she talks to Billy. But because they picked that one girl and she was the killer, I was like, nope, she's the killer. She's acting like the killer. Like, this is bad acting across the board. Mm-hmm. Only because she, right from the beginning, was like, yeah, it's a killer. Like, they're setting this up. Now, it took me a little while to catch on to Richie being a part of it, but I was like, they're going to do the boyfriend again. It's going to be a connection since you have a female killer. That would have been cool. I still say that if you wanted to set this up, you have Richie and the sister as the killers. And if you really wanted to push it, you kill Sydney. They get away with it. Yeah, you kill Gail too. Please go ahead. They get away with it. And Stu is the one that's been backing it the whole time. He survived. And then it sets up for the next one for Kirby to come back into town.
Well, we always said Stu would be the mastermind.
Yep.
Well, you know, because Billy was always setting up Stu to take the fall anyway. You know, so it could be interesting to see Stu like finding that out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because he was, in a sense, kind of like Billy's lapdog.
That's what we said.
Didn't really have it all. Yep. So for him to figure that out, it would be interesting to see if like he ended up being a puppet master.
Yeah.
You know, down the line.
Let's dive into next steps at the end there, because I think there's going to be a lot of interesting next steps for everybody.
Yeah.
I will have to say, for this movie, 5 times in the theaters, maybe a 6th time tomorrow, because there's really still nothing to see in the theaters, and I don't know if I want to go see the movie that we're going to go see tomorrow, so maybe we just go see Scream again, because it is enjoyable. Mm-hmm. It's not Tombstone if you watch that episode of 5 Things, so it's good. But with this movie here, I liked the fact that they killed Dewey off in the beginning, because like you said, Mick, it brought a lot of weight to it. And I think, because a lot of us figured it out right away, I think we were meant to figure out the killers really easy, because the red herring is being able to figure it out because what's coming next. That wasn't the story, the two of them. The story was, I think, more or less on Sam. And all the references to Psycho, which there are 5 name drops of Psycho. There's a Psycho poster. Dawson's Creek even says psychopath in their clip. So I think they're really just staging for the next 2 movies, even though the director said, this wasn't really meant to be a trilogy. Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
That's why I think, like, if you had done that and you made the sister the killer, the stepdad or the boyfriend of the mother could have been Stu, and nobody knew it.
Yeah.
And then you bring him back, and he has been working with her closely by dating her mom, and they set it up.
Now, I'll say this. the reason why Sydney ain't getting killed off is because think about all of the protagonists that are out there. Sydney is on another level compared to all the final girls that are out there and all the other protagonists. She
I'm
ain't
trying
going
to
out
tell
in
people
the
that.
she ain't going out in the intro scene. She ain't going out in the mid
Dude,
credit scene,
oh my
and
god.
she ain't going out to a new character that's introduced. You have to
I
build
get
that ultimate antagonist to go against her, and that's what
yeah.
this film
I don't
was
think it's gonna
for.
happen.
It's to set Sam up to come after her.
I don't
I
think so.
get so sick of arguing with people about Laurie Strode is the ultimate. I'm like, dude, she's gone against one person for multiple films. I was like, Sydney has killed 5 out of the 7 Ghostface prior to this film on her own. Like, has Laurie Strode done that? No. Has any other, Scream Queen done that? No. So I was like, she's like the ultimate survivor from the time she was typically, I guess, Scream 1, they were like, what, juniors, seniors in high school?
Seniors,
So
I think.
17, yeah, 17, 18 years old. From that time all the way up to this film, she's been kicking ass. It's
Mhm.
like, I was like, if anybody could compete against Sydney, it would be Ripley. That would be the only other Scream Queen, I would say, Ellen Ripley.
Well,
Is the only one that could go tit for tat with
let's
Sid.
segue into that favorite character. So, Marcus, in this film,
You
did
didn't
you
even
have?
ask me what I thought of the film.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you think of the film?
You're such a dick.
I'm sure you thought about the same as I did, but go ahead.
Well, first of all, I don't agree that they should have killed Dewey, so you're wrong. I do
my opinion wrong.
I do think for it to matter, it had to be Dewey. I think for it to really hit people, it had to be Dewey. We've seen it 5 times in the theater. The last 4 times I saw it, I do not watch Dewey getting murdered. I can't do it. Dewey is. I can't. He's just like the sweetest guy, and he didn't deserve it.
Dude lost his love and ended up in a trailer park. Like,
I understand that,
he
but
just
everyone
ended
gets
up
down on their
dying.
luck
I mean,
sometimes. He was
him
fine.
dying, he went out on top.
Yeah, he did.
I do think that he had like a hero's death. I agree with that, and I do think that for it to matter, it needed to be Dewey. I mean, I think everyone at this point wishes that Gail were dead. So if it was her, it would just be like another kill. Doesn't really matter. And I guess my one gripe is that Amber was too fucking obvious. She was just the minute she opened her mouth, I was
I
like,
like
she's the
that.
killer. She's the
I
killer.
like that.
I found out that Richie was the killer easily is when he was obsessed with the stab films. I was like, oh, there it goes. That's Billy. Because
Yeah.
Billy was obsessed with
Yeah.
slasher films and horror films.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, that's the killer. And it's like, oh
As
no.
soon as he was in the
research.
hospital, he's in the hospital next to like a victim, and he's watching Stab on Netflix. I was like, are you fucking kidding?
He said he had to
drive-
prepare. He had
The
to prepare.
the drive to Woodsboro, the questioning that he had, and then the final question was like, so why is the killer interested in you? And she's like, I don't know. And
Sister.
then, or sister, whatever. And then he gives that quick look. I was like, oh, that's it. That was it for me. I knew right there.
I had him pegged from the trailers, so but I didn't have Amber. I didn't figure out Amber though.
Yeah, it took me a little while with Richie. And it was really only until the hospital scene because I was like, who else is chasing her in the hospital?
Yeah.
I was like, it's gotta be Richie. Like, so that was where I came in. So I did come in late, but
Or him looking back at the other Ghostface when Ghostface was fighting Dewey, remember? And he was getting dragged off, and he kept looking back at Ghostface, and you're like, come on, man. You're like, if it wasn't obvious before, and then also Amber, I got off of, ready for it, the very first scene she showed up in the hospital, I was like, she's the killer.
Yep, me too.
That's what I said. As soon as Amber opened her mouth, I was like, she's the killer. Like,
Well, I ain't gonna lie. To be honest, I was a little slow with her because I saw it differently because I thought maybe she was being overprotective as far as like I thought maybe she was like about to play the whole lesbian.
I think that's what they were going for as the red.
I think that's what they were going for. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
that's how I
problem
took
is
it. So.
her acting stepping into that was just like, you're kind of an asshole. You're the killer. Like,
Yeah,
you're
she was a
clearly
dick.
the one that's doing it.
She was a total dick.
But then it's reminiscent also, and, you know, I don't know if anyone else got this, but it's almost reminiscent of Scream 1, though, between Billy and Stu. There was almost like they had a thing together. Like, it was implied. It was never out there, but it was implied. Like, they had some sort of deeper relationship.
Well, Lily jokes about that all the time at conventions.
I just watched an interview with Skeet and Matt, and the interviewer asked like where they are now, if they're still alive, and Stu is like, well, I think that we're like in a relationship and we're like adopting dogs, and like so.
He said that at the last convention in Monster Mania in 2019. And the funny thing about it, Scary Movie spoofed that on purpose because of the fact that they thought that they were like, you know, gay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But my favorite character, honestly, was Tara. Jenna Ortega she knocked it out the park that entire film.
You were your favorite character from all of them, or just this one? Oh, okay.
Just this movie. Yeah, she was a rock star in this film. Like, to me, I think they set her up to be the new Sid. You know, in the next two films, possibly. They would definitely set her up to be the new Sid. You know, especially if they bring like Kirby back, or you know, they set it up for her sister just snapping or something and going on the bench. She's definitely going to be the new heroine of the franchise.
All right. Mick, how about you? Favorite character in this one?
Dewey. Always Dewey. Dewey brought a legitimacy to it. As soon as they went and saw Dewey, I was like, all right, here we go. The game is afoot. Let's do this. And I love that he wanted nothing to do with it. The guy always jumped in, and that's why he couldn't be pulled back. Like, that was it. Like, he went right into it. And I love that nobody questioned him either. Like, granted, I know he was the sheriff, things like that, but like, he got kind of drummed out. But like, he showed up for this thing, and it was like, nah, nobody's really telling him to go away. He's been through this too much. So
Wes was the only one that questioned.
Yeah, he was my favorite character. Again, like, sad to see him go, but he got the hero's death, and I appreciated that.
Yeah. All right, Danny, how about you?
So, I think if you want to do characters of like facial expressions and legitimacy acting wise, I would have to agree with Marcus Tara on that one. Like, that girl, the opening scene was so phenomenal just because of her. It hooked me. Like, you're like, geez, like, honestly, I just couldn't. I think even better. I know this is probably blasphemy, but even better than the first opening of Scream movie. I thought this one was way like, oh man. However, though, if you want to say favorite character, dude, they did Ghostface right. I thought, man, honestly, they did Ghostface right to the point that I love this scene, this shot of it, and I was like, yo, dope. Is when the scene up from feet all the way up, and then you see this cut, and the light comes on.
Oh,
and
that
then,
was so cool.
And then the voice came out. I was like,
that was so cool.
Yes. And the same thing, the fact that you had Ghostface outsmarting people, I didn't like the fact that she supposedly overpowered Dewey. That girl was like 5'0" and 90 pounds wet, overpowered Dewey. However, I think they did Ghostface right about outsmarting people. Like, when he set up that cop, I knew it. I called it. I was like, oh my gosh, she's falling into a trap. Sure enough, she got it. But also the fact that the one thing I love about Scream more than any other, if you want to classify it in horror movies, is that all the main characters are able to fight back against him. While when it's Jason, you fight against Jason, you dying. You know what I mean? You fight against Freddy Krueger, you're dying. Like, same thing with everything else. Ghostface, you actually have a fighting chance. And to see the same element to be in this film, like, it did not waver. It did not revamp Ghostface in any other way. Ghostface was Ghostface after all these years. It still gave you the same feeling, the same dread, the same, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? That would have to be my favorite, to be honest.
They revamped him a little bit. And Danny and I talked about this the other day. The only thing that they revamped him was he wasn't clumsy as he was in the other four films. Like, this film, he was like very precise, direct, like Danny said, outsmart, you know, just yeah. Where all the other films, you see Ghostface tripping over shit, flying over beds, you know what I mean? Sliding on the floor, like, you know, crazy stuff. Yeah, like crazy stuff. Where this one, it was just like it was just they were just a killing machine, the two of them, you know.
Nice.
And yeah, it was phenomenal. So
How about you?
So I have two favorites. Tara, for one, because she was just badass. I mean, when she first got stabbed, she punched him in the face, like, and tried to shut the door on his head. So I was like, man, if I got stabbed, I would have been like, I'm fucking dead. I'm just laying on the floor. And this girl, like, I mean, this girl just fought back, and I love her. I watch her in the TV show You. I think she's a phenomenal actor. I think she's great. And Dewey, because I think this was his best performance as
yeah,
Dewey
it was.
by far.
It was.
Yeah, so man, that was a great take on Ghostface, almost making me rethink my choice at number one. Definitely almost made me rethink my choice at number one. My number one is Terror, and we said all the reasons why. But a very close second, I don't know if any of you felt this, but when Sydney arrived and she started talking, it's like she brought an instant comfort to me when I was watching that movie. It's like, man, that's like Aunt Sydney right there. And you just felt so much better with her being there.
Yeah,
It's just like, oh shit. This movie's
Yeah.
going crazy, but now Sydney's here. We're all good.
Nah,
Yeah.
I was when she was running with the kids, I was like, just stay there. I was like, just that cameo, just stay there. It would have been great. Two things should have happened, in my opinion. Either she should have picked up the phone and just be like, nah, I'm done. I'm staying here, and not come back. Just like, I have kids. This is it. Sorry, Dewey, you're on your own, or get out. And then when she did come back, I thought if you really wanted to play up like the Drew Barrymore influence of the first one, she should have just been shot in the head and killed right off the bat. Just like,
oh yeah, when
then
she
you're like,
out. Yeah,
what is happening here? Like, you know, the one person we thought couldn't die is now dead.
yeah.
So I'm gonna say, man, I really, in my heart, I told Dave this and everybody else, I really, in my heart, when Sid came back, though, the question in my head is, yo, if she is the one that just set this whole thing up and is killing everyone, including Billy's daughter, because if she found out that was Billy's daughter, I was like, yo, man, that would have been dope. That was like her final chapter in my head. Like, all right, Randy's kids, everyone is like, I'm done with this, so everyone dies. That's it. I'm over it. Everyone dies. And plus, like I said, it ran in her family. Her brother tried to kill her. Her cousin tried to kill her. You know what I mean? Like all this stuff. I would have loved that twist, man. If it was just like Sid the whole time. And then, like you said, if she ends up dying, now you have that wow factor too. Like, yo, the hero became the killer. She dies. Now where do we go? You know, like, but then when she started talking, like Dave said, I was just like, it ain't gonna happen.
Where the heck did she get a tracker?
I had that old man like, oh, you kids don't know what you're doing.
I think that to me, the what's her name? The sheriff, Marla Shelton.
Yeah.
The way she died, I felt like that's the way Sydney should have died. It meant something, but not with her. Who cared about the sheriff? You know,
I hated the sheriff.
She was fodder to just be killed. Something, you know, a connection to the past to kill off.
Yeah.
But like that was a vicious kill that came out of nowhere, broad daylight, and you were not expecting it. Yeah. And if that was Sydney, that would have been that would have like knocked it home.
And the funny thing is like I wanted Judy and Gail to be the killers because of the fact that they each have a personal gripe and issues with Sydney, you know. And I was voting that they were going to like team up and be the killers because of the fact that, you know, they both, you know, in love with Dewey, and I thought they were going to set up Sid and Dewey being together after part 4, you know, because of that moment they had together. And Yep, it didn't go that way. So
Well,
I
Mick,
feel like if you're gonna,
to piggyback off of you, now that you say that, just like a flash in my head, now that I think about it, what you're saying, dude, imagine she gets off the phone with Dewey, right? And she's running with her kids to her porch, and then that happens. Just
yeah,
like you said. And it's out of Woodsboro, and it just happened. No one would expect that.
Mhm.
yeah.
So before we jump into what everybody thinks is next, I have to ask all of you this impromptu question. How cool will it be to see two Ghostface in costume on screen at the same time? That's what I thought we were going to get at the hospital, possibly, or in another scene where you have Ghostface pop up in front of you, and he's like, "Oh shit!" and the person goes to flee, and there's the other one right behind.
I feel like
Well, they
that's.
did that in part 4, but they didn't show them on the screen together.
Mm.
So
But
remember,
sorry.
in the opening scene of part 4, where it was the movie Stab, I guess it was 5 or 6, where they had the two CW girls,
Uh-huh.
and she opened the door, and then the one Ghostface was there, and then she turned around, and the other Ghostface came and split her neck. So they didn't show them on the screen together, but they were, immediately right there. So
Yeah.
yeah, that would be cool to see them on the screen together. Though.
Spoiler alert, Danny.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, my bad, dude.
That's
I
okay.
forgot you didn't see part 4 yet.
That's dope. To answer your question really quick, though, Dave, what I would love to see is if there were two different Ghostface, like as in they're not working with each other, but yet they're doing the Ghostface and have a Ghostface
Ah,
off,
That'd be
like
nice.
a Ghostface off. Like they would just
Battle Royale.
Oh yeah, because then not like in a cheesy way, but like as in they're trying to kill the same person. They see the other person, and you know what I mean, and then
Yeah,
it's like they're
it
trying to
turns
kill
into
each other
Smoking
because
Aces.
yeah, it's almost like I'm trying to get this person, but then this dude
Yeah.
comes here, and now you're like, fuck, and then all of a sudden now you're in a, it could be
Mhm.
against, it could be even against the main character, the protagonist, because that would make the most sense that they're both after the same person rather than like a random kill. Like I'm saying, make it meaningful, don't make it cheesy. But I think it would be dope, especially after seeing in the trailer that didn't make it in the cut, the silver face
It did.
Ghostface.
It's
It
there.
did. It
It's
made
in
it.
there.
Did it? I didn't
Yeah.
see
Stab
it.
8.
There's a
Stab 8.
Stab
trailer
8.
with
Remember he
Yeah,
was
it's in the
looking at the.
YouTube video.
But I'm talking about
Yeah,
like
it was the YouTube.
a real deal. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Mhm.
That's just me.
So that would be cool if Stu like put a contract out and like you said, everybody just start dressing up like Ghostface, going after whoever. And
All right. How about you, Mick? Do you want to see two on screen or what?
Yeah, I mean that would definitely be something interesting. Maybe having one running through the house and like almost like a cult of ghost faces. Some situation like that could be interesting. I think if you're going to go forward with this, you need to take it out of Woodsboro. Stop drilling down to that connection. It would be, since Scream is talked about, every other horror movie that we love in the Scream universe is a horror movie. So it's not like you have Michael Myers running around. This isn't Leslie Vernon. This is a prolific serial killer that somebody keeps taking the mantle up, and it keeps happening. So I think like if they're going to keep playing up the Reddit angle, is the Reddit or social media angle in general. You start almost like a cult of Ghostface, where this starts happening in different places, and like it's just like, how do you stop this? It's kind of like just this infestation of Ghostface showing up at high schools all over the place. And then you can play on the meta world of like school shootings and things like that, and the violence in schools.
Hell yeah.
But it's like people just dressed up as Ghostface killing these kids in a horror movie fashion. And I just feel like you can go a lot bigger with it. And
that was part of the script of Scream 3 initially,
nice.
where it was supposed to be like a cult. And I think when they scrapped that, the horror film Smiley used it. If you've seen that movie, Smiley.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah, so they used that idea where it was like a cult of the killer,
Nice.
So Dave, if you get a strike on your channel, you know it's because that's what they're gonna do for Scream 6. Just letting you know.
Well, that brings us to the fun part. I will say you could choose who goes next. What do we think is going to happen next? Who should be the first person to discuss?
I don't know.
Mick.
I don't care.
All right. So, Danny, we go with you. What do you think is happening next?
Oh man. Okay. So here's the deal. Like I said, when you had an unpredictable movie, but you picked a predictable thing, now every unpredictable thing is going to seem predictable. Like Stu coming back now as a possibility. You're like, yep. You know, Sam becoming the official killer like Billy. Yep. You know what I mean? Like it's almost where do we go from here that's not cheesy. However, I do feel as being the theme of a requel, if they continue to do that, you know, like a new trilogy, I feel like Sydney and Gale are going to die. Basically, they're going to Star Wars it. They're going to get rid of the 3 main characters so the new main characters could take the mantle and progress Scream forward. So whether Sydney gets a brutal death, whether, you know, is just shot in the head or whatever, I think that is going to happen in the next couple of movies, just so that Sam and Tara could be the next big thing. You know, I do see a high possibility of a connection between the mom and the stepdad coming in to be killers. They emphasize it a lot, especially that the mom, you know, slept with Billy, had a kid. Now the stepdad can come and get revenge. Whether that's, you know, Stu's ex-girlfriend or whatever, who knows, you know, whether it was really Stu or not. You know, it can go anywhere. I feel that, just like Mick said, the possibility should be out of Woodsboro. It should be where do we do the twist now? Like we have to have the twist either which way. We have to have it to make it change, because if not, then everything else is going to be the same. So I really do think, I hope it doesn't pull a Hollywood. I hope they don't greenlight Scream 6. I hope Stu is not the killer in the next one, because then everything just becomes predictable again. And I really think that will tank the series when you do that. That's just me.
Good one. Marcus, how about you?
I mean, I would like to have like Danny brought up. It would be interesting if they brought in, you know, their mom, and then bring in Tara's dad, who was the other boyfriend in high school. If he was the killer, you know, being, you know, he has that angst of, you know, hating the mom for lying all these years, and maybe he just spazzed out, and you know, for whatever twisted reason, he's doing it all for Tara. You know what I mean? Like, even though Sam isn't his biological daughter, you know, he can have that spike towards her because of the fact that she's Billy Loomis's, you know, daughter, and that broke up the whole happy family. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that would be something I would do, because it would be something that, like Danny just said, it would be unpredictable, because you're already expecting Stu to be involved, or you're expecting Sam to be the, you know, killer or something like that. So yeah, that would be the only unconventional, you know, route they could go. You know, unless they made Tara the killer, which I don't see them doing, because they set her up to be Sid. So, you know. Yeah.
Let me hop real quick before Mick goes. Marcus, and that would give us the thing that I said, 2 different Ghostface, because if you have the mom going after Sam because she broke up the happy family, and also the stepdad going after Sam because they broke up the happy family, that the mom and the dad hate each other. There you go. There's my two Ghostface trying to kill each other.
Yeah, I honestly, if you want to remain unpredictable, like, you got to remember why the first one was unpredictable. Right out of the gate, they kill your superstar in the movie. And then when the one person you're like, yeah, that guy's probably the killer, they give you a completely perfect alibi to make you believe he's not.
Yeah.
And the other killer is a guy we all wanted to be our best friend because of the way he was acting. You know, he just was a cool guy. So you never think of him. From that point forward, it was kind of easy to figure out who the killers were in Scream, except for like Billy's mom, because that comes out of nowhere. You're like, what? Like nobody mentioned Billy's mom at all, and she's like the one running this. This is great. Sidney's brother. What? What are you talking about? Sidney's brother. Then the fourth one, it's like Sidney's niece. Like, so like it throws you for the other kid I knew. I knew they were going to throw the Randy in there. But sorry to ruin it for you, Danny, but, 10 years. So, stuff like that. This movie did not do that well. I was like, no, they're the killers. I pegged it right. Like I said, if you're going to move this forward, just get out of Woodsboro. Yep. If you want to follow Sam, you have all of your eggs in that basket, fine, but I really think you should just spark something new.
Kill Mark.
I think that the way you do it is you kill off Sidney and Gail in the beginning.
Yep.
And then you just kind of like, in a weird way, almost like, and I hate to say this movie, but Halloween Resurrection. You just kill them off right in the beginning, say we're doing something completely different and actually do something good this time, but, as opposed to Halloween Resurrection. But, you kind of go.
I like Resurrection.
It just starts
I wouldn't kill Sid right off the bat. I mean, I would kill her, but I would kill Kincaid, her husband. And then, like, in the final battle, kill Sid.
Nope, I agree with Mick. Scream 2 or 6, whatever, right in the beginning, outside of Woodsboro, kill Sidney, super unpredictable, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm telling you, I agree with Mick.
Well, it would be out of Woodsboro because, wherever she was jogging or whatever, But that's what I'm saying, kill her husband, because that'll give her, incentive to go against her.
You kill Sidney right off the bat.
Thank you.
Right off the bat. Okay?
Yep.
You can connect Sam to it. No, just listen. Marcus, trust me. I'm coming back around. So you kill Sidney and you kill Gail. Boom, they're dead. And they're dead in their element. Like Sidney's dead, like shopping at the grocery store or something, some shit like that. And then you go on and you kill Gail in New York. What's going on? Maybe it's Sam traveling around because she's gone crazy because she's got Billy Loomis blood, or maybe somebody's trying to set her up. So now she's trying to settle and she's like, it's not me. And then I'm not going to try and figure out the killer. But at the end here, after you do that for 2 movies, you have this 2 set up. It's a trilogy that you want. Kincaid kills the killers in the end. He shoots him dead. He's been hunting him the whole time. Boom, there you go. Then you have Kincaid, and he is actually a cop that did something.
I want him dead because I don't like Patrick Dempsey.
Listen, you leave McDreamy alone, all right?
I have not liked him since Can't Buy Me Love, man. So.
I have to leave now, guys.
And booting Marcus out right now.
Put a boo in there. Put a boo in there.
We could.
I endorse it. Mick, I like that idea, dude. I really do. I think that is honestly.
No, that is a cool idea, though. I like that.
Just kill Sidney, and again, like you said, not in the house, not nothing. You know what I mean? You get a phone call. You know what I mean? Pick it up, just like every other one, but it's in a public place, and you're like, what the fuck? Maybe a crowd or something. She walks in, and then just off.
It'd be great if a giant TV fell off of the building. And the entire time, everybody's thinking it's gotta be
done.
So I think for the most part, me and Jenn are on this page. We had to cut this out of our updated theory on the Mark Kincaid thing because that just turned into a massive argument.
You killed McDreamy right from the beginning.
So I was with you there, Marcus. But I think, and as much as I really, really love the cult of Ghostface, we've seen that. The cult of Jigsaw, right? So I don't think we're going to see that again because we're going to rehash it and then people are going to start comparing the 2 films. But honestly, I think Tara, it gets killed off in the opening scene of the next one, which is going to play on everything they set up with the split personality, where we're going to have the 2 separate Ghostface that are acting out but don't know of each other. And that's because Stu made fun of all throughout this movie. He's going to come back to settle the score because what? Billy Loomis had a daughter? I'm coming to take care of that. And what I think played on it a little bit. That's why I said, "Oh, that's a good idea." Maybe Stu and Billy were something, and I was like, "Oh, my man went out and had a kid with somebody else." And we get that iconic scene at the end where we reveal the two Ghostface that don't know who the other one is, and then you have that Billy come back into that personality, and you have that Billy versus Stu reunion, that final battle. Whatever happens, Stu dies or whatever they do with Stu, Sam is now fully all psycho, and she goes looking for Sid.
Sam is already psycho. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well,
her
22 stabs.
Yes, yeah.
her kill
Yep.
scene, that was overkill completely.
Yeah.
Man.
And then she
I
goes
loved it.
looking for Sydney, and that's where we have either Sydney walks away or Sam walks away, and we go forth with the trilogy.
Okay.
I say murder them all.
Yeah, I say,
Kill 'em
man,
all. Why can't
I think what would be dope, what would be even more dope is that, because Sam, Gail, and Sydney, they were all like, hugging in the beginning.
Mhm.
Maybe they have like an annual reunion, and then just Sam just goes off, kills them both right there, and then just, all of a sudden you're like,
a survivor's reunion?
yeah, you know what I mean, like a survivor's reunion, and then she just flies off the handle, kills them, but then you think Sam's the killer the whole time, but it's not Sam. Like you said, it's someone else,
Yeah.
I feel like anybody who showed up for a survivors reunion of Scream, like I just said like, nah, I honestly I would take it back if you're gonna do something like completely different. Take it back to like almost a play on 3, where they're filming a new stab movie, and it's just them being killed, but there is no connection. Sydney doesn't show up; she decides to stay away. But it's Ghostface killing these people. And then, but if you're going to make the killer, make it somebody who you never expect and make it one person.
That's a good one too. I like that.
Uh-huh.
All right, here's my fly off the handle one. You ready? This is my fly off the handle theory ever. And I'm just going to say it's like way out there. I think besides Liv that got shot, right? Liv, whatever her name is.
Liv, yep.
Liv.
I think Randy's niece and nephew is a part of it. Because he got stabbed. Yeah, he got stabbed and he survived. And then they left the sister alone. She barely got a casualty. You know what I'm saying? And then they show that they survive at the end.
But they both survived. They said it. They're virgins. Even he was like about to have sex, and he's like, "Nah, I think I'm good too." That's why he survived.
Yeah,
he followed the rules.
Yeah. But I think that would be a hell of a twist though, because that means that everyone in Sam and Tara's circle, because now you include 2 protagonists. Now you include Sam and Tara, but now everyone in their circle they can't trust no matter what. And all they have is each other. You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mindy almost had me in the basement. I thought that would have been an awesome reveal right there in the basement, where she's like, "Oh, well, I'm the killer." It's like, "Oh shit!" And she stabs her right now. I'm just gonna fall off my seat.
Yeah. You know, it was funny too, because when she was like, "Oh, I know you're not because I am," and like Amber actually looked scared for a second.
Yeah.
Like, what?
She did.
Yeah,
She's like, "Wait a minute, there's another one."
Yeah, she was. She was scared,
Yeah.
and I could totally see Mindy like flying off a handle, maybe being the killer. But I think Chad was a little dumb. So
he's gonna
he was.
No, he's not. He's
I honestly
I think he's like Casey Becker's boyfriend, Steve, the dumb jock.
Yeah.
That is not a fair assessment. We never even met Steve. The dude was tied up. He could have been a genius. That poor guy. High school kid just wanted to go get laid.
Yep, got tied up, gutted like a fish.
I honestly thought it was going to be the twins' girlfriend for a second. Because remember when Stu's nephew showed up at the high school and everybody left, and she was like, "I can't meet up with you all. I got to stay back for a second." And then she looks out to the parking lot towards him, and I thought maybe it was her for a second.
Well,
especially when he got killed in the parking lot, at the bar.
That's the unfortunate part when you have 6 different endings and nobody sees the ending, so they all just have to go about acting a certain way.
Yep. Yep.
All right, so
she's a survivor too. So you think they're gonna bring her back?
Who?
Kirby?
The girlfriend.
The girlfriend's
No, the
dead. She got
girlfriend.
shot in the head.
She got shot in the head.
Yeah, Liv got shot in the face when she goes, "We all know you're not the killer, because I am." Boom!
Oh
They shot
fuck,
her.
yeah, she did get shot in the face. What am I thinking? Damn.
They shot her.
Okay, never mind.
Yo, that was. I'm not gonna lie though, that was one of the illest reveals ever.
Yeah, it
You know,
was. I forgot all about that.
Don't look at me. We
Shit.
know you're not, because I am. Damn.
Damn right, damn. And I just saw it 2 days ago. I'm telling you, man, this COVID is still messing with me, man.
Well, I would like to thank all of you for being on our first ever podcast combined, maybe a Screamcast, whatever. We don't have any fancy names for it. But nice experiment that we did here. So we'll go once around and have everybody plug whatever they want to plug. And
You did that in the beginning.
yeah, we're going to do it at the end too.
Oh,
Yeah, that's right. We want people to go see their channels and know about the stuff that's coming out.
you asked them what they like to do, and they said they like to get it over in the beginning.
Marcus, go ahead, Marcus. What do you got?
So everyone keep your eyes out for Terrifier 2 that will be releasing soon. And stream will be later this year.
Nice. Danny, how about you?
Yeah, everyone, just thank you, Dave and Jen, for having me. Mick, I hope to get on your show too, my friend. We seem to have similar wavelengths. I love it.
Absolutely, man. Love to have
and
you
Marcus always loved talking to you, man. Yeah, guys, just go to my channel, the Danny Vega Show, and yeah, I have the Geekly discussion with Dave and Marcus and whoever else wants to be a guest. Mick, you're invited as well.
Awesome.
Yeah,
You see, he got the capsule back there.
Yeah, right, exactly. And also, yeah, Dave said my podcast. So my podcast is TDV Live. It's personal development and motivational stuff. I get to interview a lot of successful people in their own right, and they get to tell you what they actually been through. It's not just a success story. So it's everything they've been through, how they got to their success, and everything else. And you can also tune in on iTunes and Spotify for that. I have to update my playlist soon. But yeah, that's up on both as well.
Nice. Thank you. Mick?
I'm just a guy. Check out a show, The Scene Snobs. It's not very good, but just check it out. No, I don't know. We have a lot of fun. We get weird with the topics. Of course, we stick mostly to pop culture, movies, TV, geek oriented stuff. So check out thescenesnobs.com. See if you like it. Maybe give us subscribe, follow, stuff like that, and we appreciate it.
All right, and just to close us out, this is Dave from NERDbox, accompanied by my wife Jen, also from NERDbox, and we'll see you on the next one. See you.
Thanks for having us.
Peace.